Okay, let's go over some lesson plans. So I went over these lesson plans with my instructor yesterday, and these two lesson plans I'm going to review today, and we're going to try to simulate them in Microsoft Flight Sim, are the normal takeoff and the go around. So jumping into these, I'm going to pull my lesson plans up and then we can see them together. I use Benny's or Ben's flightservices.com. He has good lesson plans. I like his format. They're pretty current. These were last updated April of last year. So here's the normal takeoff, and the purpose of the normal takeoff is to start the flight. Every flight begins with rolling down the runway, maintaining center line, and getting airborne. So we're gonna go over this, and we're gonna talk about how we get into the air safely, and we're gonna talk about what happens when we start to move. When the physics of the plane start to change, we start to put power in, throttle up, RPMs are revving. We're going to 2300 to 2400 RPMs, maybe 25 to 26 depending. We're setting takeoff power, which is full power most of the time. And then we're looking to rotate. We're looking for our rotation speed. And the Cessna, let's look up what the rotation speed is. Let's go just to the checkmate C-172 checklist. Let's find the PDF. Yeah, this is the checkmate. This is a standard one, not the one from the POH, but just a standard one that you can find in a 172. And they're saying rotation is 55 with best angle and best rate. Best angle is if we want to avoid obstacles, that's VX, and then best rate is 76 here for VY. We want to maintain the pitch and maintain our climb at VY plus minus 5 for pilot proficiency according to the ACS, the Airman Certificate Standards, and plus or minus 5 knots for commercial ACS. There's some resources here. YouTube. We have a good video from Emory Riddle. They have a 7-minute video on it. We won't jump into that, but that one's pretty good. And then a lot of the FAA resources they have. FAA, they don't have the best nomenclature. Fox Alpha Alpha Hotel 80833 Charlie. Okay, that's annoying to remember, but that's the airplane flying handbook, and specifically in chapter 6. So let me see if I have that in my CFI resources, and that is the flying handbook. Flying handbook, here we go. What did we say? Chapter 6. Let's zoom out here. Probably just search it by the tabs or by the table of contents. Chapter 6. Normal takeoff. Can we click? Yeah. Alright, 601. Looks like it's page 133. And they have some good pictures here. A resource, all these other resources are FAA resources that you can dive into. You can find all of these things for free. The PHAK, right, the Pilot's Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge, that's another one right here. We won't jump into that, but anyways, you can use these resources. And it's all free stuff, so YouTube's free, but make sure you go under the official documentation to understand it. All right, what happens with the takeoff? We have power coming in, slide slipping tendency, crosswind techniques to maintain center line, making sure the runway's safe, making sure nobody else is on the runway. We are taking the active runway. That is our runway. We are on it. It's our job then to take off and be timely. If it's either a non-towered airport or if it's a towered airport, they would give us takeoff instructions. Non-towered, we would clear it ourselves, look for final, look for wrong final, look for base, look for anybody coming in, if the runway, if that's still left, look for the runway to the right, and then take the active runway and pull out. Okay. This starts getting into, look at this guy coming in sideways here with a crab. He's got the crosswind components. So There's a couple different techniques for crosswind components. The main thing is just you want to maintain center line. So when you put the power in, we put throttle in, you're going to have P factor. That's the torque, the corkscrewing effect of the propeller wanting to go one way and the fuselage wanting to go another way. Let me get my model here as a good CFI. You should always have a model, but essentially the propeller's wanting to go one way and the plane's wanting to go another way. So that's the engine torquing the fuselage of the plane. And with that, when the propeller starts to rotate, it wants to pull, in normal planes, it wants to pull that plane to the left. So we're going to need to counteract that with right rudder. We're going to push right rudder, and we're going to use right rudder. How much right rudder? We're going to use enough rudder to maintain center line. So whatever that's needed, right? Be an athlete here. And it's not going to be linear. It's not, a linear amount of rudder pressure. It's going to be in proportion to how much power is coming in. So that compounding effect. Crosswind component. Some people say start in with, leaning into the wind, have the elevator down pressure and the aileron in the wind, and then start to take that out as needed. Another technique, we'll look through that, but again, you just want to maintain that center line. And when you begin to take off, if you have that full crosswind component in, you start to gradually take it out, then you'll weather vane into the wind and you'll start to, fly essentially sideways, flying straight, but your fuselage can be angled into the wind. You'll weather vane and you'll catch it, and you want to track straight. You want to continue your track straight down the runway. And as you accelerate, look for VX, or if you need to avoid obstacles, or VY. VX is going to be your climb over the shortest amount of distance so you can avoid obstacles. VY will get you to the highest altitude the quickest. It's the quickest rate of climb. But then there's some safety components, right? So if we're saying that it's 55 knots, or sorry, 60 for best angle and 76 for best climb, do I care about best angle or best rate? Maybe I want to lower the nose so I can see better out the front, right? So let's keep that nose down. Maybe we accelerate to 80 or 90, or we just keep it low on the deck, as some people say. So here's a good picture of it. VY, shortest amount of distance over the ground here. Sorry, VX, and then VY is the rate of climb here. This is a good description of the P factor of what's happening. You could study a whole hour on this, but we won't dive into it. And we could talk through abort procedures. Essentially, if we're not going to fly, we're on a little Cessna. We got 8,000 feet of runway. We're going to be okay. Let's just stop. If we haven't taken off, if we start to take off, we can put it right back down on the ground. Here's a good picture of that crosswind component. Make sure that you're using those ailerons early. You're starting flying the moment you're in the cockpit, right? So we're flying. We may be taxiing, but we're flying the aircraft. So we're going to keep that aileron into the wind at all times so that we can maintain our wheels on the ground until we want to start taking them flying, right? And so we want to start moving. Okay, cool. That's the plan there. Let's just jump into, for me, I'm in the Charlotte region. I'm over here at Monroe. We're going to take off 2-3. We got the 170 Skyhawk. Let's give it a go. I think I remember all the buttons. If I don't, I guess we'll figure it out. We'll pause it together. But this is the normal takeoff. And then the next procedure, we'll talk about the go-around. So we're going to fly up, do the pattern, talk a little bit about pattern work, and then make sure we're safe at all times. Cool, we're ready. Okay, I got a mouse. I got the HOTUS system here. It's all that I put that in. There's releasing the brakes. Let's look back up. All right, we're starting moving. Power's all the way in, full throttle. We're going to use our rudder here to maintain center line. We're going to start to see that airspeed come alive. 20 knots, 30 knots. What did we say? Around 50 to 60 we want to fly. Maintaining center line, making sure we have that crosswind component. There's the airspeed's coming up. All right, she's wanting to take off. Our flaps are up. We're still accelerating. Still climbing out. We're very fast, you know. Now we'll pitch up. If we needed to get to that VX or VY, we would do it. We'd just trade all of our energy here. So, um, cool. All right, we're climbing away. Let's look outside. Now my track is terrible, so let's get back over here and let's track on runway centerline. It's a cool thing about the sim is we can look outside with the cameras. All right, we're climbing away. Then we do a climb check. All right, let's go ahead and pause. Take a look at what the checklist says. We did takeoff full throttle. Oil pressure was good. We rotated late. We were fast. Flaps up. Flaps are already up. Cool. Climbing out at 70, 85. Make sure the power's good. Power's full. Mixture's full. Instruments pointing to something that helps us. We're VFR day. No big drama. Taxi landing light. We can turn off. Flight plan open. All right, cool. And we're going to stay in the pattern, so let's go ahead and just read through this. So mixture will be rich. Fuel will be both. Carb heat as required. Some people like to keep that carb heat on. We can keep the carb heat on. I don't really care here. Dealer's choice, if you will. But anyways, we would check ATIS. We're good. Altimeter would be a set. Stay in the pattern. Instruments cool. Landing light can stay on. Autopilot's off. We're buckled up. And mixture. Best for power. Carb heat on. There we go. The carb heat on. Fuel both. Flaps as required. Cool. No drama. And then landing. Flaps can come in. We'd like to shoot for 60. Alright. Let's get back to it. And it wants to pitch up. I don't really know where the trim is here, so let's go ahead and trim a little bit. 80 knots, 1300 on our altitude. Let's go ahead and start our turn here. I think in the real airport, there's a housing development over here, so you want to be courteous of noise abatement and whatnot. Let's keep our turn coming here. All right, we're coming up on pattern altitude 1700. A little low. Getting a little slow. There's 1700, 85 knots. Cool. Push the nose down, capture it. Let's look off. Where are we in time and space? Power's coming back. RPMs are at 2100. Let's look outside. We are way off track, so let's go ahead and go back into the real traffic pattern. And the reciprocal of 230 would be 05, so we're still way off course here. All right. We're getting a little better here. Okay, now we are on downwind. Let's go ahead and trim here so I don't have to. All right, 1700 on the clock there for the altitude. We're 90 knots and accelerating, and we would do our downwind call. Let's look over here, make sure we're still tracking. On the downwind leg, we'd be looking outside. This is all visual maneuvers. We're getting a little low, put some more power in. It got slow. You want to be quick to fix these things. You want to be fangs out for the little things. Get on altitude, get on speed, fly a good stable platform. And this has not been a good stable platform for this hack, but we're trying to do a couple of different things here. All right, made our downwind call, right? What are we? Forget what the call sign was here, but Monroe, Cessna, left downwind, 230, Monroe. All right, we can start to go base here, so we're gonna pull the power back. We're gonna start our turn. Flaps can come in. I'm gonna go down to about 1700 RPMs, start the turn. We're out of coordination here. It's a little tough in the sim for using the rudder. Airspeed's coming up, getting a little low. This is the highway that parallels the runway. Just know that because I've used it before. It's also a quarry at 10 o'clock. And it's a little difficult to see in the sim here, but this is our base leg. So Monroe, Cessna, left base, 2-3, Monroe. Clearing final, making sure nobody's coming in from the right here. Taking left. keeping the descent coming, and assessing our energy at all times. So I'm gonna guess we're a little low. The airspeed's coming up, but the altitude's coming down. I'm gonna start to put in some flaps. I think it's this button. Yeah, there's one notch. I'm overshooting like a big dog. Alright, let's pull power, and I'm high, like, as you can see by the white Vazzies, the white Pappies. Alright, so the good thing about this G1000 is I got a flight marker. I can just put it on there. 75 knots, 1,000 feet, so 300 feet high here. Aiming for the 1,000-foot markers. I got power all the way back. I'm gonna have to catch it a little bit, I think. Yeah, let's give it some power. There's one Pappy, one red Pappy. There's the altitude. Let's catch it with some speed here. I got a little bit of a swap. Alright, I'm gonna hold it off. 1,000-foot markers made. I'm gonna touch down very slow here. 45 knots. Okay, this won't be a go around, but we'll be doing a touch and go. Pull the flaps back up. Speed up the airplane. Can't really tell if the flaps are up because of this yoke over here. Flaps are still full, so I didn't pull the flaps up. Watch when I pull the flaps up. Watch what happens to the aerodynamics. The nose is going to drop like a big dog. Our airspeed's going to start to, yeah, it wants to sink. So I need to apply quite a bit of back pressure. I need to get back on track here and climb out at that speed of what we talked about, 80, 85 knots here. Clearing. You can lower the nose to see a little bit more. You can adjust your seat in real life to look up. Making sure that we're climbing up to about 1,300. That gives us 500 to 600 feet above the ground. So we're not just like blasting this housing development over here. Again, a visual maneuver, looking outside, looking right, left, tracking center line. So we should be on that 230 heading. And then starting to turn. So there's 1,300, starting our 30-degree turn. You know, Monroe, we'd make the call. Monroe, Cessna, left crosswind, 2-3, Monroe. Keep the climb coming. There's 1,700 coming up. Still accelerating. I pushed a little too much. Looking for 153. Overshot. Okay, coming back on power. Alright, Monroe. Cessna, left downwind, 2-3, Monroe. Boom. Aviate, navigate, communicate. We're 100 knots, 1,700. Fat, dumb, and happy. Flaps are up, lights are on, carb heat's on. Checklist complete. Alright, so we're going to talk about a go around now. So I'm actually going to pause this. We're going to pull up the lesson plan over here. Alright, so the go around is for purposes of swapping your approach to the climb attitude, right? So we're coming in on approach, and the ATC can either tell us to go around. We got a bus full of nuns that pulled out onto the runway, another airplanes on the runway, or we just don't like the approach. We're not in a good energy state, so we would make the decision to go around. This is again a visual maneuver. Go around and take off for both visual and visual maneuvers. There's some good resources here. There's another Embry-Riddle special. And then you have your FAA documentation that tells you what this is that you can reference. So what is a go around? Like we said, we're swapping from the approach phase of flight to the climb out phase of flight. And a go around can be issued at any time. Whether we don't like the approach that we're on, or even if we touch down on the ground and we start to porpoise. And because we touched down, we think it's kind of a dangerous situation, so we'll just apply full power. We'll expect that nose to want to pitch up, so we're going to have to counteract that. We're going to have a lot of P factor because we were in the approach. We're on a slower speed. We start to put a lot of power, get a lot of torque coming in. So that plane is going to want to yaw to the left. So we're going to put in right rudder to counteract a lot of that torque that we're putting in. Common errors. This says failure to recognize a situation where a go around or rejected landing is necessary. That's good. You make the decision, stick to the decision, and you apply the procedures. Improper power application. That'd be something shy of max or takeoff power, which I think you should go max. You should go max power, get away from the ground, get away from the danger, clean up the aircraft, make sure you're stable, and control the pitch. So failure can control the pitch. If you fail to control the pitch, you have the potential for a very dangerous situation where you have a power on stall. So you put full power on, that nose wants to come up. I put power in. I'm coming down on an approach here. I put power in. A lot of things are swapping. I start to get nose up. I want to climb away, but then I could just start that power on stall here. And if I stall here, I start to lose lift over my wings. The nose is going to have to come back down, right? And if I lose enough, I'm going to be dropping this way. I'm going to get some vertical feet per minute downwards while the nose is wanting to drop, and it's just a dangerous situation because I have a lot of physics coming back towards that unsoft ground. So when we're coming in on the go around, we want to make sure that we apply full power. We start to maintain the pitch. If we have to, we may have to push over so we can not get too nose high. And then we want to have right rudder in proportion to what that torque is showing. And then we want to continue on our track, and we want to clean up the aircraft when it starts to make sense. We can confirm that we're climbing away by looking outside. Again, visual maneuver. We can look at the instruments, the altimeter, if it's tracking, trending, positive, and the VSI, vertical speed indicator, will be positive. So those are all signs that we are tracking away from the ground. Once we would confirm, if we have gear, we'd clean up the gear, clean up the flaps, and we'd maintain our track either on center line, or if there was a plane that was on the runway and we saw that and we said, we need to go around to give them the right of way for the runway that they're on, we may offset. Let's see if there's a picture here of offsetting. Oh, there's not, but that's okay. So again, this lesson plan talks about what is the go around, maintaining the energy. We're going from we're essentially going from the left side of the lift over drag formula to the right side of the lift over drag formula. So L over D max is something that we would need to account for. See if there's a quick, simple curve here. Yeah, so we'll be changing regimes here. So this is minimum drag, L over D max is the center point, but we're going to be swapping from the left side to the right side based on the approach and then the takeoff. Don't overpitch. If your CG is low the thrust line, you'll pitch up more. This is pretty dramatic here. Yeah, timely decision, don't delay. Apply max power. Assume the climb attitude. Flaps to intermittent if necessary. Looking for VY here is what they're saying. But I just want a positive rate. I want to get away from the ground. I want to get back to the traffic pattern. And a good culture. Go-arounds are just continuing to fly. We all love to fly. No bad harm or foul for going around. If you feel unstable, go around. Clean it up. Try again. Go around decision point, pitch, trim, airspeed. Checklist as appropriate right here. Coordination. Make sure you're staying coordinated. If you do have a power on stall and you're uncoordinated, I mean, you could technically, you're setting up all the necessary ingredients for a spin. So yeah, maintain coordination, maintain the pitch 1, maintain the coordination 2, maintain your track. You're balancing a lot of things in aviation, okay? And we'll get the reps in, we'll get the setups in. And again, this is a visual maneuver. We're going to use our feelings. We're going to be athletic with it. We're going to adjust. All right, cool. Back to what we're doing here as we climb away. All right, we're on downwind. We're high because I have no idea where the trim is. I'm just gonna have to trim like this, I guess. Again, we're doing the monkey jiggle. One of these numbers. We're on downwind. We're fat, done, and happy. 1700, 1720, really 1730. Get on altitude. We're 90 knots. We look over. We're looking outside. We're parallel to the end of the runway. We're going to continue on our downwind leg. Again, got 40 knots or 40 feet low there. I mean, that's just terrible. So get back up, correct early, fix it early. And this is about our point. We're going to start that turn here. Alright, power's coming back. We're about 1800, 1700. Nose is tracking down, keeping that airspeed. We want a standard rate turn with coordination. There we go. We'll roll out on our base leg. We'll make our base call here. We're checking final. Cool. Looking outside. Monroe, Cessna, 23. Our base, runway 23, Monroe, yada yada. Looking right, final. Clear. Got our checklist complete. Our gears down. Our flaps are still up. Alright. Cool. We're coming down. Now, we said, right, you can't delay the decision. So if we called go around here, you'd be ready for go around. Alright, let's go ahead and get some flaps in so we can overshooting again like a big dog. Alright, so power would come back, pointing in. Look, we're off track here. We don't like it. We don't like the setup. Let's go around, right? Let's go ahead and push the power in. Power's coming to full. The VSI is even there. It's paused on 0. You're starting to get the climb. The nose wants to pitch up. I'm having to push forward. I'm getting back to the track of the runway. Monroe, Cessna, going around 2-3, offsetting to the east. We were way west. Let's go ahead and offset east. Climbing away, tracking down the runway. Cool. We're climbing a whoop. And we like it. Flaps are coming up. Cool. That's the go around. Nothing cosmic, just continuing to fly. Swapping the approach configuration to the climb out configuration. And cleaning up the aircraft. Cleaning up yourself. Alright, so we'll fly the pattern one more time. We'll come back around. We'll set it down and we'll call it a day. But that was a normal takeoff and a go around. We're really high here. So there's our pattern altitude. Make sure we're looking outside. We're crosswind at this point. Airspeed's coming up. Let's go ahead and pull back the power a little bit. Maintain 1700. Maintain pattern altitude. Look outside. Beautiful day. Clear. We make our crosswind. Monroe, Cessna, left crosswind 2-3, Monroe. Alright, getting low here, getting 30, 40 feet low. Don't do that. Let's go ahead and trim this thing off. I want to be able to take my hands off. I want to be able to just fly with just my fingertips. It's very sensitive. Alright, 2,000 RPMs. Tracking it back up to 1,700. Carb heat's on, landing gears down, flaps are up. 4 landing checks complete. This will be a left seat VFR landing from the pattern. Again, no drama. Takeoff, starting the flight, go around, continuing to fly, and counteracting some of the physics, being ahead of the aircraft. Alright, let's go ahead and start our turn here. I'm going to cut the power back down to about 1600, 1550. Lower in the nose, let that track down. There's the highway we talked about. What about 30 degrees of bank, keeping it coordinated if we can. There's the quarry. Let's point at the quarry. And let's not overshoot this time, so let's go ahead and start that turn. And let's bring flaps in. I'm going to pull the power. I'm just going to keep the flaps. I'm going to have to push the nose. Quite a bit, actually. See how much we floated there when you put the flaps down? And now we are super high. So we can slip the aircraft. We can start to side load the aircraft with a bunch of drag, and that's going to bring us down quickly while not accelerating our plane too much. So we're at 67 knots, 68 knots. Cool. We're in a better position to land here. Power's all the way back. And we'll keep that aim point airspeed. Airspeed is dropping off even though we're pointing down, so keep that aim point down there at the 1,000-foot markers. And then I'm going to start to swap here, start to look down the runway. Pause it. Don't let that dash come above the horizon. Now get back in the pool. Let it just send me down right there. Yep. Maintain that center line with my yoke here as the rudders. Or sorry, my stick as the rudders. Cool. We'll just let it roll. No drama here. Got our brakes. Get on our brakes. We'll take the next taxiway to exit the runway. And then let's take it all the way to a logical conclusion here. Trying to brake. Forget which one's the brake. I think it's this button. Maybe this button. Alright, I don't know which one's the brake. I guess we'll go to the next taxiway. I got the active. We made it clear. That's fine. I'm actually having to push power up. Now we're taxiing. We're still flying, right? So I still want that crosswind component in. Alright, power's coming back. We'll Tokyo drift this one in because I don't know what the brakes are. Continue to fly, right? Turn that aileron into the wind. Hey. Okay. Now let's go back to the airport. Let's see if that rudder works. Nice. Without brakes, we kept it in the dirt a little bit. Okay, let's get rid of this. Let's stop. I'm using the parking brake to stop. Alright, we stopped. What's our checklist? Checklist items. Let me close it down. Alright, after landing, flaps up. Carb heat off. I don't even know that we used carb heat here. Strobes off. All our lights off. Let's just turn everything off. Pitot heat off. Okay. Mixture as required. Let's shut her down. Cool. Standby ELT avionics off. Boom, boom. Boom. And then it gives us a logbook. Nice. Check the hops. Chalk the plane, tie it down. Get all our shit out. Have a good day. Okay, that's normal takeoff. Go around in a nutshell. And we'll stop it there.